Alright, in the garage I have my Lexus GS350 F Sport. This is a rear-wheel drive model. Today's video is going to be me replacing the front brakes on this car. I currently have it up on these small ramps. That way I can actually get the jack underneath the car. If you don't have a set of these ramps, they're a great addition to your garage. So these cars have a well-documented history of squealing if you don't do the front brakes properly. So today's video I'm going to show you how to replace the brakes and not have them squeal. Alright, so here's all the parts that you're going to need to replace the front brakes on your GS350. These are all genuine Toyota Lexus parts. There is a TSB that will update to a different set of pads. However, I've used these ones before and still had no noise. These are the Textar pads. They have more brake dust, but I do like the way that they bite and have more braking power, at least in my humble opinion. But these are the updated shims that are to help the squeal. And then you have the two-piece rotors, which are a lot more expensive than getting a single-piece rotor, but I prefer the two-piece because they're actually a lot lighter too. And they are directional. So this is a left-hand side, and this one is a right-hand side. These are the part numbers. Alright, so these are fixed calipers. This has a small pin. If I get this thing to focus, small cotter pin right here that you remove. Put that to the side so you don't lose it. And then we're going to tap this little slide pin out. Push down on this little butterfly spring, and then you can pull it right out. And take this piece off. Put those to the side. Now you can see sometimes these pads, because you've been touching the brakes, have pushed all the way up against the rotor, have pressed this way. So you need to get them separated in order to slide them out. Get yourself one of these. And you don't need a lot of pressure, just a little bit in order to push the pad back. Just down in here you can put the corner of it and then press slightly, it'll come off. Pad slides right out. And then this side, do the same thing. Just right on the inside of the tab of the brake pad. And then just pull ever so slightly. Don't need a whole lot of pressure. And out it comes. Alright, next step is there are two 17mm bolts on the back side that hold the caliper in place. We're going to take that off. If you were just replacing the pads, you don't need to do that. You could just grease up your pads and slide them back in. I just use a hammer and a wrench because it's limited real estate to get in there. I've been doing it this way for over 20 years. It works great for me. You can use whatever you have at home in order to break that bolt free. Alright, before I take off the last bolt here, get yourself a bungee cord, hang it up over either the shock or the upper strut mount. That way when you get the caliper off, you can hang it up on this instead of having it hanging down by the brake hose. And there's the other one. Alright, so there you go. Caliper is hanging up out of the way. Now we can get the rotor off. Sometimes these rotors are stuck on pretty tight. You can hit it with a hammer. Sometimes they'll break free. What I like to do is use this, which is in M8 by 1.25mm. You put it right in this hole and start to crank it down, and it will pop that rotor off without any trouble. It's going to make a loud bang when it goes loose. There it goes. Just that easy. Alright, next things are to get yourself a wire brush. clean up this hub a little bit of surface rust here, kind of get that cleaned up. Do that all the way around, and then we'll start to clean up the caliper and get these pads back in, and we'll be done. Also, keep in mind, this is a rear-wheel drive model. On the all-wheel drive, this will have a drive shaft in it, and the brakes are actually a little bit different sized. So just keep that in mind. If you have an all-wheel drive model, this procedure is slightly different for you. Next are to get these two things cleaned up a little bit and get them greased and ready to go back on. These are just covered in brake dust. Spray a little brake clean on them. Okay, we'll put that to the side. We'll get it greased up in a second. Do the same thing with the this butterfly clip as well. You need to do it on the side that makes contact with the brake pads. This part's just going to get filled up with brake dust again, so I don't usually clean it, but these edges that actually make contact with the brake pads I will clean up and grease. Spray a little brake clean on a rag and wipe it down. Put it to the side and we'll be ready to put it back on. Alright, so to push the pistons back in, I got this handy tool that I bought on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description for it. But this tool you insert down into here and it pushes the pistons back. Because the thickness of the pads and the rotor is much greater than these, you have to get the pistons pushed back in, and this tool's been great to do that. Alright, so before we start pushing the calipers back in, always make sure you check your reservoir for your master cylinder. Make sure that it doesn't overflow, because sometimes the fluid can be high enough that if you push the pistons back in, it'll actually push that up and make it overflow. So always make sure you check that first before you get started. Alright, so once you get this thing inserted here, you can start to ratchet it up and you will see that it'll push the pistons back in. There we go, that should do it. So then you can just reverse it, and that loosens it, and you pull it straight out of there. Alright, the next steps is to get everything prepped to go back in. So this is the part that's really key. You get your brake pads out and get them set. The side that has this metal, I don't know if you can see that or not. So the pad that has this little metal clip that you're seeing right in front of you, that goes on the inside. And then the pad that does not have it goes on the outside. Alright, so this next bit is the key to keeping your brakes from being squeaky. You need to get yourself some of this. This is a copper anti-seize. You put it on the back of the brake pads here, and then also put it on the shims. I'm only coating it up to there because the shim doesn't actually cover the full width of the pad. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. And also put some on the back of this. The other part, so it's going to end up looking like that. The other part you're going to want to coat is just on the edges of the pad. This is the part where the pad actually slides within the caliper itself. So you're just going to make sure you coat that a little bit as well. Like that. That way you've got a little bit on each end. Alright, also put a little thin film of the copper anti-seize around this. That'll help to keep everything nice and free the next time you do this. Doesn't need a whole lot, just a small bit. So when you get them both done, this is what it looks like. Everything's ready to go back together. Next step for us is to be rotor mounted, get the caliper put back into place, and then we'll slide the pads in and we'll get everything reseated and we'll be good to go. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I also put a little bit of copper grease on the slide pin as well as this. Now we're ready to put it back together. We got our rotor. We're going to spray it down with some brake clean. Make sure we get any greases and oils and stuff off of it. We'll give it a good wipe, clean it all down, and this is ready to go on. All right, rotor on. Put one of these to hold it in place. All right, that's good. All right, we're going to torque those down in a minute, but for now it's tight. All right, I'm going to put the inner pad in first. Again, the inner pad has this little metal clip on it right here. And the outer pad goes in the same way. And this goes next. Make sure you push down on that in order to slide the pin in. Last step is the small cotter pin, if you can see it. Little cotter pin here, that goes back in. To torque these bolts right back here on the back, you can't see them. To torque these caliper bolts, the torque specs are 100 foot-pounds, and again it's a 17 millimeter, so make sure you torque those down, and then you're all done. Make sure you get your bungee cord out. Don't forget that. Take your bungee cord out of here. There you go. Everything's torqued down now. All set. Yeah, so you can do this at home, save yourself a bunch of money. Even though these parts were fairly expensive, you save yourself doing the labor. So crack open a cold one and enjoy it.